first-year Master of Social Work student at the University of Edinburgh. On behalf of all my fellow students, welcome to today's World Social Work Day celebration. We are looking forward to engaging with everyone from around the world around this year's theme. I truly believe that together we can build a better future for all. I also want to express my gratitude to all of the organizers for making this event possible. Et pour les francophiles, bienvenue à tous. Je vous remercie sincèrement pour votre participation à notre célébration aujourd'hui. Ensemble, nous pouvons changer l'avenir. Merci.
Tandile. Good morning. Sanbona Dumelang. This is Tandile from South Africa, from the University of Johannesburg. We welcome you to this event today, and we wish all South African and all other social workers a happy Social Work Day.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Felix Palos from Graduate College of Social Sciences. ആദരണീയരായ വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെ, അധ്യാപകരെ, എൻ്റെ പ്രിയ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, ആരെയും പിന്നിലാക്കാതെ ഒരു പുതിയ സോഷ്യൽ ലോകം കെട്ടിപ്പിടിക്കുക എന്ന പ്രമേയത്തെ അടിസ്ഥാനമാക്കിയുള്ള ലോക സാമൂഹ്യ പ്രവർത്തന ദിനത്തിന്റെ എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകളും ഞാൻ ആദ്യമേ നേരുന്നു. രാജഗിരി കോളേജ് ഓഫ് സോഷ്യൽ സയൻസിന്റെയും ഇന്ത്യയിലെ എല്ലാ സോഷ്യൽ വർക്ക് കൂട്ടായ്മയുടെയും പേരിൽ ഈ സോഷ്യൽ വർക്ക് ദിനാചരണത്തിലേക്ക് നിങ്ങളേവരെയും ഞാൻ സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ആദരണീയ ജ്ഞാനമയ വ്യക്തിയോ പ്രൊഫസറും और मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों, सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको इस विश्व सामाजिक कार्य दिवस के बधाई देता हूँ, जो एक नए पारिस्थितिक सामाजिक दुनिया के सह निर्माण पर आधारित हो, जो किसी को भी पीछे नहीं छोड़ता। मैं इस अवसर पर राजगिरी कॉलेज ऑफ सोशल साइंस और भारत में सभी सामाजिक कार्य विधायिका की ओर से सामाजिक कार्य दिवस समारोह में आप सबसे को स्वागत करता हूँ। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
Good morning, everyone. My name is Namkwa Shadia, Master of Social Work student from Makerere University. Baniriza mwena nga tukuza olunaku lwaffe olukulu olutugatta awamu ngaffe abantu abaranirira okulaba nti wabeerawo enkyukakyuka mu mbeera z'obulamu z'abantu. Tuli basanyufu nnyo, twashemererwa, tweyanziza okubeera nga tuli ekitundu ku luno olunaku luno. Thank you very much.
Solomon and David.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a very great pleasure to be with you. Once again, I'm David Nshimimukiza from the University of Rwanda. Mbanje kubasuhuza kandi mbifuriza umunsi mwiza w'abavugururamibereho. So today is our day. We have to celebrate it. And you have to strive more so as to transform the global world of today. Let's enjoy this day together, but be transformative in our mind. Murakoze cyane, mugire umunsi mwiza.
Johnson, I think Solomon is not here. You can proceed with the next section.
Okay, ma'am. It was indeed an inclusive and cosmic welcome address. Thank you all. So now we are moving to the indirect reflections of the dignitaries from the partnering universities. So first we have Professor Anna Maria Kaminini, President, International Association of Schools Social Work, and I invite Professor to share the reflections. So now we have the video of Professor.
At this tragic time, when there is a fierce fighting in the Ukraine and wars, coups, aggression and violation of human rights are present in many other parts of our planet and reported on a daily basis, it is not easy to talk about co-constructing a new world, an eco-social world where no one is left behind. But it's precisely because of this situation that I think it is important to stop and reflect on how true the slogan is that we have chosen as the first theme of the global agenda. Ubuntu, I am because we are. How can social work help our society to take care of peace, health, and the deep well-being of all, if each of us thinks only of him or herself and do not care about the consequences of our actions, and if we, even in education, build a culture of competition and not cooperation? It is certainly necessary to be aware of our individual uniqueness, but we should also be aware of the fact that in order to fulfill ourselves as a person, we need to make ourselves available to others. If we orientate ourselves in the logic of co-construction, our individualities with our differences will, instead of dividing us or being a reason for tension, become a richness among us. It will allow us to join our efforts because together we can achieve greater goals than what we could achieve alone. We build together, we negotiate and learn to openly disagree on content through dialogue, without overwhelming the other or wanting to destroy the other. This logic is certainly lacking at the level of nations. The asserted national identities risk slipping into populism and the claim of enclosing oneself in fortresses to guard which weapons are needed.
It was a thoughtful sharing from the professor. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Komoso Jokman, President, Association of Schools of Social Work in Africa, for delivering the indirect reflections in 3 minutes. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Youngman, are you online?
Yes.
Okay, please go for it.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I've been going through the attendance register at 175 people, seeing familiar names, seeing a lot of students. It makes me happy always to see students on board. I've always said, as a profession, we need to always carry our students on board so that they can understand what we are doing and what we are preparing for the future. And I'm happy that today we have more students attending. And I hope in the next 5 years, they will be having their own students attending. And let me take this opportunity to wish all social workers a happy Social Workers Day. And in my message, I'm interested more in the part where we are saying nobody should be left behind. And my interest is more on, is this rhetoric or it's a reality? Are we really putting effort in making sure that nobody is left behind? And who do we mean that should not be left behind? Are we looking at the community? Are we looking at social workers? Who exactly are we looking at when we are saying nobody should be left behind? That is my interest as we are celebrating today. I want us to reflect on that. Who are we not leaving behind? And when I zoom into social work in Africa, where we are now faced with a lot of unemployment among social work graduates, a lot of social injustice within the profession, a lot of political interference in terms of what we do in our interventions. I'm wondering, how are we going to reach the system where nobody is left behind? If we are told who should benefit from social protection, if we are told who should not benefit in social protection, so what exactly are we going to achieve in terms of not leaving others behind? When social workers are jailed and taken to prisons because of social justice, because they want us to achieve something different, who are we not leaving behind? So as we are celebrating, as we are happy, I want us to reflect and ask ourselves, are we really putting effort as social workers to achieve the best for the profession? How do we create a better ecosystem among social workers? The Association of Schools of Social Work in Africa, what is our impact? Do we have a say in terms of what is taught in our universities? Do we have a say in the curriculums, in the standard of practice that we can see out there? We are spectators because we live in an uneven and unequal and turbulent times. So this has to be a reflection. It has to be something that we think about as we are internalizing this theme. This theme should not come and go with much. It should live with us where we can achieve better results for social workers first, and then for the community. We cannot have a well-functioning society if we don't have a well-functioning profession. So it means we need to reflect as a profession, go back into ourselves and stop fighting amongst ourselves. Stop having so many associations that are representing our egos, but rather have one word that will help us to achieve more for social work as a profession. And that is when now we can go into articulating social justice in our communities, articulating what should not be done to people in DRC, to people in South Cameroon, in Sudan, in Central African Republic. That is when we can have one voice to advocate for those who are in turbulent times. So as a profession, let us now speak in one way. And I understand that social work in Africa, it's still not professionalized because most of the countries in Africa don't even have an act of social work. Anybody can be a social worker in Africa. So I think this is the right time to ask ourselves, how do we jealously guard against people infiltrating our profession and doing what they're not supposed to be doing? So let us take this time as we are celebrating Social Workers Day to reflect and to ask ourselves serious questions on how do we want to see this profession in the next 10 years. As young people are here, where do you want to see this profession in the next 10 years? It is your duty, it is your responsibility as young social workers to take this profession further. What exactly do you want to see in the next 10 years? So with this, let me wish all of you a happy Social Workers Day, and let me challenge you to create a profession that is inclusive, that does not exclude others based on where they are coming from, their color, their sexuality, their creed, and everything else. It is upon us to take this profession further. I was only given 3 minutes, and I don't want to go overboard. This is my message to you from Africa. We are saying Happy Social Workers Day to all of you. And let us enjoy this day while we are sensitizing people on who we are and also be aware of who we are. Grazie. Thank you very much.
We are indebted to your great insight, sir. Thank you very much. And now we are moving to Professor Adrian van Breda, Head of Department of Social Work and Community Development, University of Johannesburg, for the introductory reflections. Over to you, Professor.
Good morning, everybody. I have a short video clip to share with you. Just give me a moment to get it ready and I'll share.
Hey! Hello, hello there! Hey! Salibo Nani! Hey!
Hello there. I'm the head of the department. Department of Social Work and Community Development at the University of Johannesburg in South Africa. My students call me Prof. Adrian. Our department offers degrees in two distinct but related professions, social work and community development. We offer 4-year professional qualifications in both, which lead to professional registration with our statutory regulatory body, the South African Council for Social Service Professions. We also offer specialized master's coursework degrees in clinical social work and community development, as well as research degrees at both master's and PhD levels. We are currently a team of 15 full-time academics teaching approximately 640 students. Our department is committed to thinking about the earth and the ecology of the world around us and the ways in which we can create a sustainable future for future generations. We are also deeply committed to building social connections and strengthening the relationships between people and other people and building a world that takes care of its own. Our department is interested in co-building new social and ecological processes and partnerships, working collaboratively to develop our society. And we are also deeply committed, because of our history, to inclusivity and to ensuring that every single person, including the earth and nature, are part of a process of development that we can all share in and celebrate. In short, we are committed together with you to co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. And so I wish you a happy World Social Work Day 2022 and pray that we will enjoy our celebrations together. Thank you.
It was really a great sharing. Thank you so much, Professor. And now we are moving to Dr. Father Joseph M.K., head of the Department of Social Work, Dignitaries College of Social Sciences. And I invite Dr. Father for sharing the reflections.
Thank you. So, dear professors, other faculty members, members of various professional associations all over the world, and the dear students. At the outset, wishing you all the greetings of Social Work Day 2022. As mentioned in the previous introductory messages, we are very clear about the theme, co-building a new eco-social world, where inclusivity is the dominant value. But when you look at the trends that is happening all over the world with globalization, we have economic values always dominate ecological and social values. With profit and competition are the dominant values, where we try to leave others behind. Then only we can compete and win. We can amass wealth, we can create more assets for our enterprises. So in contrast to this, our social workers are helping one another is our dominant value. We are proposing an eco-social world where everybody is being included. This is possible if and only if we reflect over the democratic values and democratic societies. All of us living in a democratic world where equality, justice, fraternity, and liberty, freedom are our foundational values. When you give emphasis to our democracy, or in the World Bank language, when we try to deepen democracy, we'll be able to keep all human beings, not only human beings, the planet, the whole ecosystem together, that we protect one another. With the dominating trend of One Health, in the context of the pandemic and upcoming pandemics, we can survive if and only if we respect the life of everyone or everything on earth. So the Social Work Day will help us to reflect over our foundational ecological and societal values over economic values. And as social workers, we are the champions, or we are the ambassadors to promote ecological and social values over economic values. Even in economic institutions, many of you are aware about the cooperative institutions or cooperative movement all over the world, which survived even in the recession 2018 and 19, only because their values are more social and ecological over economics. As the catchphrase of cooperatives, all for each and each for all, is a very dominant and powerful message in this competitive world where we respect, protect the rights, well-being of everyone over our assets or capabilities that we are trying to build up independently over the other people. So the world situation where globalization is trending to different dimensions, social, economic, and cultural, even political, we have to affirm the cooperative movements as a dominant movements in social work, where, as all of us know, without economics, we cannot survive, but make economic values and economic trends ethical so that we will be able to create a living space for everyone. So during this Social Work Day, let us respect the cooperative movements that is happening all over the world, which is creating asset for the common, where they try to articulate the value of all for each and each for all. I hope that the Social Work Day's theme is very much going in tune with where we love, respect, and care for one another. So as a body of professionals working for human values and human affirmity, let us work together to build the new world where the cooperative movements may be given more importance in our economic activities. Or I wish that social workers may form powerful cooperatives or global cooperatives where we'll be able to give a model against the corporate world that is dominating all over the world. So wishing you all a very happy Social Work Day, appreciating the efforts of all our partnering universities, that our partnership are becoming more and more stronger and wider and deeper. I hope that we'll be able to work together for the future, for a sustainable future. So wishing you the day's greeting, I remain. Thank you.
Thank you, Father, for the great sharing. Now, let me invite Dr. George Paratti, Head of Social Work, University of Edinburgh, for sharing your reflections. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. On behalf of the University of Edinburgh and Social Work Department, I would like to welcome you to the 2022 World Social Work Day celebration. Happy Social Work Day, everyone. I'm Dr. George Paratti, Head of Social Work at the University of Edinburgh. As previous speakers have highlighted, the theme for today's celebration is co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. What does this mean for us? As we celebrate World Social Work Day, I am reminded of the suffering of the people of Ukraine, homes destroyed, the risks and vulnerabilities that they are facing, the systematic destruction of the country, and our collective failure to stop the aggression. Millions of lives hang in the balance. We see millions of refugees crying out for help. What does this mean for us as social workers? How can we respond to this inhuman aggression on a peace-loving country? How do we express our solidarity with the people of Ukraine? Social work stands to promote the well-being and empowerment of the marginalized and promote equality, justice, and rights for all. When we look at these issues globally, we see millions of people left behind, be it in the more developed parts of the world or in the global south. Our world has been navigating through difficulties, the recent coronavirus pandemic, climate change, and other crises affecting the lives of majority of the world's population. The theme of the day invites us to reflect on our commitment to a shared humanity. How can we express our solidarity and kindness with them? Last year, the University of Edinburgh, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, and the University of Johannesburg came together to celebrate World Social Work Day. Our first joint event was a great success with students leading on the celebration. Our small initiative last year has now grown large and keeps growing with more institutions joining in our celebration. We have over 900 participants registered to attend today's event, a clear indication of its importance across the social work community. I think one of the aspirations of us coming together is to develop a deeper sense of cross-cultural learning and understanding of differences, an assimilation of different ideas and perspectives, and building global connectedness. An understanding of us being part of a shared humanity with all its differences is important in ensuring peace and stability in the world. It is heartening to see the enthusiasm and commitment of our students across the institutions in putting together a fantastic program for this year's celebration. I want to thank you all personally for the immense effort you have put into organizing such a fascinating range of activities. On behalf of our students and social work colleagues at the University of Edinburgh, I would like to once again welcome you to the celebration. I really look forward to the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. George, for the words of wisdom and informative and inspirational words. Moving on, let me take this opportunity to invite Dr. Khadija Nyango from the Makerere University, Kampala, Uganda, for sharing her ideas and reflections on the event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you, everyone, for attending in large numbers to celebrate our profession, to celebrate us. As the Chair has mentioned, my name is Khadija Mwenyango, and I'm a lecturer in the Department of Social Work and Social Administration at Makerere University. We are a department in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, housed in the School of Social Sciences, Makerere University, which is a public non-profit institution. The Department of Social Work offers a variety of programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, and our curriculum emphasizes both theoretical and practical components. The theoretical aspects focus on the relevant social work theories and issue-based perspectives about the nature of human needs and social problems in our country. And but the practical component comprises supervised fieldwork placements in human service organizations that serve as a context for our students to integrate theory and practice as part of their learning experience. We have also led the effort. I had the president of ASWA talking about regulating social work, but we've led the effort which culminated into the development of minimum standards and competences framework for social work education and training in Uganda, which are now being gazetted by the National Council for Higher Education in Uganda. And as a department, we've been training social workers in East Africa and beyond since 1969, and our alumni are very important people. So reflecting about our theme, co-building a new eco-social work world, leaving no one behind. We are faculty in the department. The faculty in the Department of Social Work at Makerere have made some strides. For instance, our Bachelor of Social Work degree has a developmental social work perspective at its center. The program engages students in analyzing the intersection of systemic inequality and livelihoods, social inequality, social equity, and social justice. Since 2010, we've embarked on a deliberate process to indigenize our curricula, ensuring that it is strongly aligned to our local social, cultural, economic, and political context, and that our graduates are relevant to advancing social development in our communities. We offer inclusive education to ensure that even those who are most vulnerable have access to high-level education. For instance, every year we enroll 5 to 10 persons with disabilities and also receive students from hard-to-reach or poverty-stricken backgrounds through some affirmative actions. And as social workers at Makerere University, we firmly believe that we all succeed when we all do well, and that no one institution should be left behind. And in this spirit, we have spearheaded several collaborative efforts towards professionalization of social work in East Africa. And we currently host the International Association of Schools Social Work Regional Resource Center with membership from members from East Africa. And we are looking at a developmental and contextual relevant social work education that effectively contributes to our regional progress as people in Africa. So, and we've engaged social workers in the region through the online social work platform, periodic seminars, workshops, and topical issues, and sharing resources amongst our institutions. And we are looking forward to joint research projects and publications. So as I conclude, in a profession very much about people, with a shared motivation to make positive change to people's lives, the theme to co-build a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind, is a great inspiration to us and for every one of us to make every effort to address inequalities, promote and protect human rights, and being mindful of our natural environment. This is pertinent because leaving anyone behind means that we are all behind. Thank you for listening to me, and happy Social Work Day from Makerere. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Khadija, for that motivating words. Next, we have with us Dr. Tracy Omarigua from University of Benin, Nigeria. Welcome, Dr. Tracy. Over to you.
I don't think Dr. Tracy's joined us. She's having a program at Benin.
So can we move on to Dr. Charles?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, now. So lastly, we have Dr. Charles Rudikanda from University of Rwanda to share his reflections on the event. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Chair. Dear colleagues, happy Social Work Day again. My name is Rutikanga Charles. I'm a lecturer at the University of Rwanda, Department of Social Sciences. And as I had introduced myself earlier, I'm also the Commissioner for Indigenous Commission, IFSW African Region. Social work profession was introduced at the University of former National University of Rwanda in 1999 in the aftermath of 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And the main reason for introducing social work profession program in Rwanda was to deal with the results of 1994 genocide, which included a big number of children who were left alone with no parents and had to survive on their own. A big number of these children were in orphanage homes, on the streets, and others were in child-headed households. There was also a big number of widows who were left alone to take some responsibilities. There were also a big number of refugees, of whom some were in neighboring countries and others were internally displaced. There was also another big number of prisoners who were suspected to have participated in the genocide. Poverty was at a very high level, and also poverty due to destructions of social and economic structures. And on top of that, social fabric was also very seriously damaged. So social workers, after graduating, they wanted to also collaborate together with other professions to address these issues. I cannot say that they are fully settled at the moment, as such atrocities consequences go for years and years. But at least today we can celebrate that social work has contributed greatly to the reconstruction of a destroyed community. Regarding the co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind, through university community outreach, social work students and lecturers contribute to the ecosystem through Umuganda, which is community work, where all citizens are supposed to participate in protecting their environment. This is done through cleaning and cleaning the whole surroundings, and this has made many cities of Rwanda the cleanest towns in the whole world. Of course, this is through this amazing traditional approach. As we celebrate Social Work Day today, I call upon you to reflect on those norms, values, approaches that are rooted in our cultures that are helping the community to develop themselves and strengthen one another. And all these should always be reflected in our training, where we train social workers who practice in these communities. I thank you so much and wish you a nice social work day celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are stimulated by your great words. Thank you so much. And we are coming to the end of the introductory reflections. From the reflections of the partnering universities dignitaries, we can say that the World Social Work Day 2022 will be a highlight opportunity for the social work profession to engage all social work networks and the community. They work within to make contributions to the values and principles which enable all people to have the dignity respected through shared features. The World Social Work Day enforces the idea that we are all connected and our future depends on every person's involvement in building a socially just future. So with this, we have come to the end of the introductory reflections, and now I invite Professor Robinson from University of Edinburgh for sharing the next session. Thank you, Adrian. Over to you, Professor Robinson.
Hello, everyone. Happy World Social Work Day. I'm going to be chairing the next session, which involves our keynote, Dr. David Jones. I just want to say a few words about David before I invite him to come in and give his keynote. So David qualified as a social worker all the way back in 1974. He principally worked in the area of children and families social work in the United Kingdom and undertook a number of roles, including national roles, which included for the British Association of Social Work, the main organisation which represents social workers within the UK. He has had a very long-standing interest in international social work. He attended his first global social work conference in Sri Lanka in the 1990s, and subsequently he had a long-standing involvement with the International Federation of Social Work, including undertaking a number of senior roles for them, which included the role of president from 2006 for 4 years. In 2018, he was awarded the Andrew Muraviev Apostle Medal for an outstanding contribution to international social work. Dr. David Jones is also a researcher. He received his PhD from the University of Warwick in 2009, and he's also a prolific writer. He has written and edited, in particular, around international social work. Colleagues, given that, I hope it's clear why we have asked Dr. David Jones to be our keynote speaker today. It's my pleasure to introduce him. He is going to speak for around 10 minutes or so on the topic of why does World Social Work Day matter? David, are you there?
Thank you, Robin. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So thank you, and happy World Social Work Day to everybody. It's really exciting to be a part of this day going all around the world. Greetings to Charles in Rwanda. I was speaking to your High Commissioner yesterday at the Commonwealth Day reception in London. And saying how much social work was developing in Rwanda and our contribution to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which is there in June of this year. So we're looking forward to working closely with colleagues in Rwanda for that event. So I have just 10 minutes to say, why does World Social Work Day matter? Why does it matter? Let's just hope that everything works. I'm not moving my screen down. That's not, oh, there we go. So why did we develop World Social Work Day? Why did this happen? Because it's not just something that is a chance. We have World Social Work Day because a decision was made by the global profession back in around, well, I will go through the dates, that we needed to do something. And it is a miracle that it has taken off with so much enthusiasm around the world. But it's not chance. We planned it. And we did it because social work needed to increase our visibility. Social workers know that we help people to change by enabling them to feel that they are responsible for their change. We don't do change to people. We work with people. And if we say, look how wonderful we are as social workers because we have done this, many people will say, well, it wasn't you, it was us. Or how dare you claim responsibility for the change I have made in my life? So this is a challenge for us as a profession. It's different in other professions. People can see what has been done by the doctor or the lawyer or the planner or the architect. But social work, we do things with people. But we have a problem because we have to share with the world that we have a role, that we do make a difference. And to do that, we have to have visibility and speak positively about what we do. And if we can do that, it increases our influence. And we see that increase now as we have the joint People's Summit coming up in June or July and working with the main United Nations agencies. Again, that is not a chance. It has taken a long time of planning. And as we do that, we strengthen and promote social work, and social workers around the world can see that that is happening, and that boosts our self-confidence. We are increasing our professional global solidarity, as we have seen in this day, but also we have to challenge established ways of thinking, and the decolonialization of the curriculum, the importance of indigenous knowledge, is really an example of challenging established ways of thinking. And to do that, we also have to have national associations and networks. These structures make a difference. Sometimes it is tedious being in meetings, but it does make a difference. And we need to develop our partnerships with others. So where did this Social Work Day start? Well, many professions have a World Day, but the Social Work Day at the United Nations started back in 1983, and that was just in New York. But from that time onwards and going on through the 1990s, and the International Federation and the International Association of Schools of Social Work were talking about how should we create a World Day. In 1995, the European Union funded IFSW Europe to develop a project on social inclusion. And I was involved in that project. And when we reported in 1997, we said we need a European Social Work Action Day, which started in October. And we developed a shared theme and a campaign to unite the associations. And at that time, there were very few people involved in it. By the way, if you're interested in the history of World Social Work Day and how our profession chose and planned to build our strength together, the history is on the International Federation of Social Workers website. The link is there. And here is the report back from 1997. And in the red circle there, you can see a recommendation from that group was organize a European Social Work Action Day. And that actually started. Now, linked with that was the process around the global agenda. And that process started in 2004, or we could even say earlier. There were many different strands. It's never possible for one organization or one person to say, we did all of this. But I know in the International Federation of Social Workers, we had a meeting in Australia, in Adelaide in 2004. And we said, look, if we are the global leaders, we have to lead. And we have to show the strategy that is enabling the world of social work to come together. And everywhere around the world, social workers were saying, people don't listen to us. They don't give us the funding we need. We're not paid well enough. People don't respect us enough. Of course, there's always good practice. There are always people who are doing good things. But it was interesting when I traveled around the world, very often I heard that from social workers. And we recognized with the schools of social work and the International Federation that we needed to come together. So we started planning for the 2010 conference in Hong Kong, the first joint conference in a new format. And that conference led to the global agenda process, which I'm not going to talk about today, but is very strongly linked with World Social Work Day, because we linked the theme of World Social Work Days to the theme of our conferences and the theme of our publications. So in Hong Kong in 2010, there were 3,000 people at that conference, and we launched the global agenda, and it developed over those days to become something which has now spread around the world. So in 2004, IFSW General Meeting in Adelaide approved the concept of a World Social Work Day. And in 2006, IFSW approved a theme of social work making a world of difference. And the first World Social Work Day in this new structure happened with IA, the Schools of Social Work, the International Federation in 2007. And in 2008 in Brazil, our conference said this event will be on the third Tuesday of March. That was a bit controversial. The Europeans wanted it to stay in October, but we have the third Tuesday of March. And in 2009, the World Social Work Day began to emphasize the global agenda. We launched the global agenda in 2010, and we're linked. So now I'm going to take you very quickly through a memory of some of the posters of World Social Work Day. And here you see 2011, the first day after Hong Kong, and that was focusing on developing the global agenda. There was a consultation process that ran from 2010 to 2012. And then you see the number of translations of the posters increased every year. And now we have around 70 or 80 translations. People translate their own poster. IFSW works to produce a poster, but it then can be translated into so many different forms. So here we see the first theme of the global agenda around promoting social and economic equality. And the second theme was promoting the dignity and worth of peoples. And each of these themes has a report, and there's a free download of the report, which has many examples of international social work. That's on the IFSW website in the shop. It's free download. And I think it's on the Schools of Social Work as well. And then the third theme was promoting community and environmental sustainability. We were very in advance of the United Nations in 2010 in Hong Kong in identifying the theme of community and environmental sustainability. And social work has led the world in many ways in thinking about integrating that. And then the final theme of the last global agenda was promoting the importance of human relationships. And then we moved into the second decade of the global agenda. And as we've already heard, the theme of Ubuntu was picked up. I am because we are, strengthening social solidarity and global connectedness. And that is the umbrella theme that is running through this decade and is so important at this time of conflict. And so with great drama and announcement and fanfare, we come to this year. And we see the many different translations of the poster that is now around. And it is this World Day connects social work, but also is connected with other organizations. Politicians stand on platforms and acknowledge it. United Nations agencies are tweeting support for social workers. Every town, more or less, has got something happening around World Social Work Day. It is a day that we can acknowledge the significance of social work. And so we say to ourselves, why does it matter? Why is this really so important? And I've talked about social work needing to own a responsibility for its contribution, not in an arrogant assumption way that we know the answers, but we know that working with people makes a difference because people thrive on connections. And that is what makes the world work. We're seeing the destruction of connections in the most aggressive and violent way. We know that has happened in many places around the world. It is not just in Ukraine, but in Ukraine, we are seeing a very dramatic example of intimidation. Stories coming out about what is happening to people who go out and are shot in front of their families. And we know this has happened in other parts of the world. Charles talked about the legacy of the genocide in Rwanda, but there are other places in the world where people do not respect each other. But in social work, we know we thrive on connections. We must be honest about where we as social workers have not lived up to that ethical claim, but we can also point with pride to how much we have done. And if you're interested in connections, I'm on Twitter at Jones David N. I'm not on Instagram, and I'm not really very active on Facebook either. But if you want to follow me, you can see some of the tweets there. So thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you about why Social Work Day matters. And I hope you enjoy your conference. But as students going into a challenging world, it's a difficult job, but it's one that brings many rewards. Have courage, hold true to those values. And every year, remember, we can come together and celebrate World Social Work Day together with pride in a profession that is there to serve people. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, David, for a whistle-stop tour of the history of World Social Work Day and for emphasising the importance of this day. Just a few thoughts to finish, just connecting what David said to the theme for the day. So the theme of World Social Work Day is co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. David was emphasising that social workers do, or at least should, work with people in order that they themselves achieve change, but that creates some tensions for the profession in its lack of visibility. So when we're thinking about leaving no one behind, we need to think about not leaving the social work profession behind in order that what we can do in helping others can be best supported in supporting other people. So we need to develop our visibility around our role and our global visibility. David talked about the history of World Social Work Day from the 1980s and how it's grown in prominence and importance and in global reach. If there's a couple of themes that I think come out strongly from previous World Social Work Days that connect to today, it's around the importance of global connection, around recognising global independence, interdependence, I should say, and around recognising the importance of community and environmental sustainability. So without further ado, I will draw this session to a close. Thank you once again, David, for your input, and I will pass on to Naoko Chayoke of the University of Johannesburg and Elijah Mary Matthew of Rajagiri, who will be chairing the next session with the breakout groups.
Welcome to session 3 of the program. My name is Nyoko Chauke from the University of Johannesburg. As you are all aware, the theme for today's session is co-building a new eco-social world, leaving no one behind. What does this mean for social work practice? We have listened to the wonderful presentations on this so far, and now it is our turn as students internationally to give our perspectives. We will be divided into 10 small breakout groups. You will be allocated manually to these groups. We have about 35 to 40 minutes in each group. So each group has already been allocated a chair and a co-chair. The co-chair will also serve as a scribe or secretary and take brief notes of the session. So please feel free to talk. You will not be identified, rather it will be taken as a group response. The scribes will list 2 key points from that group on the chat when we return to the plenary. Then the scribes will be given 1 minute in the plenary to present these points, and thereafter we'll email their responses to the conference organizers. I now hand you over to Lija Mary Matthew for further details. Thank you.
Thank you, Naiko. I am Lija Mary Matthew from Rajagiri College of Sciences, India. As Naiko has already said, we will be now moving into breakout rooms for further discussions and deliberations. There will be 10 breakout rooms and we have 35 to 40 minutes in each room. You will be allocated to your respective rooms by the host, and there will be a dialog box popping up on your screen after you are allocated. So you have to click on the join option and then you will be directed to the assigned breakout room. I repeat, there will be a dialog box popping up on your screen after you are allocated, and you have to click on the join option and then you will be directed to your assigned breakout room. Also, kindly return to the main session once the discussions are over in the breakout room. Please return to the main session after the discussions are over. So hope it's clear for all of you. If you have any clarifications, please feel free to ask. Thank you. And wishing you all have a fruitful discussions in the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Colleagues, if you are on the screen at the moment, it means you haven't joined the breakout rooms. If you could please click join.
Excuse me, ma'am. We have to assign them. They cannot join willingly. We have to assign them manually. So we will be dividing them equally into different breakout rooms.
Okay, thanks so much, Felix. I see the breakout rooms have all opened. And
Yeah,
there's
it's a mistake. There is a
that
mistake. Just a mistake happened. So we'll rectify it now.
Thank you.
So I think I got kicked out from my the room that I'm hosting. Can somebody put me back?
You will be sent back now. Don't worry.
I also got kicked out.
Okay, he's rectifying it. Don't worry. He's going to sort it out.
Just teething problems. It's quite hard to get the groups on Zoom. We'll be there soon.
Just group 2. You don't have a co-chair. I've asked Nyoko to be your co-chair. If Nancy, are you on screen?
Nancy is there, I think.
So I think Nyoko will be your co-chair. Or if there's anyone else.
I think Nancy is here, Varosh.
Yeah.
She may have already been She was definitely, I
allocated.
emailed her earlier on and she was definitely here and she had group 2 against her name. So she might have been allocated to a group already.
Yes, you're right. She had messaged to say that her co-chair was not available. So therefore, I'm trying to just see if we can get a substitute for the co-chair.
Okay. If there's no one else to do it, I don't mind doing it.
Okay, I've asked Nyoko to be the co-chair, and maybe if you can just check up in that room, Robin, into group
Which room or which room she has to join?
Group
Group
2.
two.
Okay, we will
2.
assign her to group 2.
And if you can
Yes.
put me in group 2 as well, please.
Oh yeah, sure, Robinson.
Thank you. Cheers. I think I can join group 2 myself. So I'm going to join group 2. So I'll see you when we're back out.
Thanks. So some of you have already been allocated, but I see you haven't clicked on join. Just check at the bottom of your screen. You'll see breakout rooms. And if you click there, it will give you the join option.
There are 75 participants who haven't joined any rooms. So there will be a message saying that tech support has inviting to joining room 4 or 5, whatever it is. So you have to click that join, please. So many haven't joined.
So just go onto your screen.
Sorry, I did join and I'm supposed to be hosting a group, but I got kicked out.
Yeah, Mamosa, which room are you in now, Mamosa?
Sorry?
Room 1.
Yeah,
room 1.
Felix, also see for Ruth Chutu in room 10. Can you please allocate her?
Sure, ma.
Okay. Mimosa, you would see on your screen.
I think the message has already given to her.
Okay.
Ma'am, Ruth hasn't joined. She is allocated to room 10.
Yes, yeah. Ruth, are you on the screen, Ruth?
Yeah, but I cannot join.
Okay, look at the bottom of your screen, Ruth. There should
Ma'am,
be
somebody is closing the breakout rooms who are supposed to be the co-host, and somebody is closing the breakout rooms. So it is a problem. So co-host, please don't close the breakout rooms.
Someone has closed the rooms.
Okay, Felix, maybe remove co-host from some of us.
Because some co-host has closed many breakout rooms. So it will be a problem if you repeating like this. This is the second time.
Okay, just extend. See at the bottom, it says breakout rooms are closing. Just extend that, please, quickly. Because it says breakout rooms are closing.
We have to reallocate them once again.
Ouch. Okay,
so
remove
co-host,
from
please don't
everyone.
close the rooms.
I think remove co-host from everyone.
We will do that. We will do that.
Okay. Colleagues, apologies for that. It seems people are closing the breakout rooms. Therefore, you are all being kicked out. We sincerely apologize for that. So Felix, our tech support now has to reallocate, but hopefully for the last time. So you will not get co-host rights, because it seems that some co-hosts are closing the rooms. And this is purely by accident, I'm sure. But maybe it's time for us to reconnect while they are putting us into our rooms. So, yes?
Verosh, we can just, each one of us can click on the right, click on the room that you're supposed to join, and then you join. We don't have to wait for someone to allocate us again.
Okay, there's a suggestion. So click on join. Thanks, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Click on join if you have it. If you don't, put your hands up. Okay. If you don't, go to the reaction button and put raise hand. And then Felix would put you immediately in. So just raise hand and he will try, Jobin will put you into your room. So if you have not joined, just click raise hand.
I can't even find the raise hand button.
Okay, at the bottom, reactions. Right at the bottom of your screen, you'd see reactions. You might even find breakout rooms at the bottom there as well.
I've seen breakout rooms, okay? So
and
I go
just
to
join your room. Don't worry, no stress.
Okay, I've seen my room, so I'll join.
Okay, great. So for those of you who want to join directly, just look for your room, go to breakout rooms at the bottom of your screen and click join. And don't leave at the end. You will come back to the plenary, so you only leave your room at the end, all right?
For some reason, it's not allowing me to join my breakout rooms. I wonder if that's the same for other people.
I'm having the same problem, Robin.
Yeah.
Okay, what we've done is we've taken out the co-host from all of us. So Jobin is the only chap that can allocate now. But at the bottom of your screen, if you see breakout rooms, join the breakout room that you're supposed to.
Yeah, I think the issue that Robin and I are having is I'm clicking the join button and it's not doing anything.
Okay, just raise your hand and click on raise hand and Jobin will allocate you. He's doing them manually.
All right, maybe it's a me problem because it's not letting me raise my hand either.
No,
Like
your
all
hand
the
is
way.
raised. Don't worry.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
it's not showing on my screen. Sorry about that.
Ferosh, what time do you think we need to come out of the groups, just so we can keep a track of time?
35 minutes. So my time is 12:42, and your time would be 10:42. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so how about 11:15 on your side,
Yeah.
13:15 on my side, and then because I have run short of time as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, tech support, are you all right? There's 46 people not yet allocated.
Yeah, we are trying to allocate them, ma'am.
Okay, great, thanks. In the meantime, some of you, if you find at the bottom of your screen, if you can see join breakout room, please click on join and you will be taken to your breakout room. There's some really nice topics in the breakout room. In group 1, it is what does an eco social world mean? And what should social work's role be in helping create it? In Breakout 2, how can recognition of culture and language in social work practice act to ensure that no one is left behind? And how can we ensure social justice for all to ensure that no one is left behind? Just a reminder, please click on Join Breakout Room at the bottom of your screen. In Breakout 3, we speak about with whom do social workers co-build a new eco-social world, and how should social workers go about co-building? In Breakout 4, what are the key challenges for social workers seeking to creating a eco-social world, and how can they be overcome? And then we have in 5 and 10, how can people work across borders to build a new eco-social world? What is social work's role in helping facilitate this? So 1 and 6 have the same questions, 2 and 7 the same, 3 and 8, 4 and 9, and 5 and 10. And thank you to Robin at Edinburgh University for putting these questions together. Okay, so if you see on your screen, you will get a request to please join a breakout room. If you have not received that request, at the bottom of under reactions, you'd get an option to raise hand. Please raise your hand so we would put you immediately into a breakout room. We do apologize that the breakout rooms closed earlier, but that was an error. So now we've rectified that, so we do apologize for that. Okay, there's quite a few of you that have not accepted. So please accept.
Ma'am,
Yes.
they
Yes,
have assigned into different groups, but they haven't confirmed the joining request.
okay, so please join. Click on join, colleagues. One of the things we find in some of these webinars is people join the webinar and they leave it running, so they don't join the breakout rooms. We want to encourage participation. We want to encourage breakout sessions that are dynamic and full of participation from all of our colleagues. So please join the breakout rooms. This is your opportunity to engage on such important topics. So I'm going to go around the room on those on my screen and see if you're still on my screen. Lucia, are you there? Lucia, Pindile, Danielle?
Pindile is here.
Okay, Pindile, you will be allocated to a room now. Have you seen the breakout joining Pindile?
No, not yet.
Okay, you have been allocated. Just check at the bottom of your screen for join breakout room. All right, let me see who else is on my screen. Danielle and Stephanie and Bibin Anthony. Can you just unmute and tell me why you haven't joined a breakout room? Kutso, I see you there as well. How are you doing? You haven't joined a breakout room. Ansi Haymans, Deandra, Jopal George, Kalengo Noah, can you please join your breakout room? Tumelo, Erika Rabe. Ruth, you're supposed to be chairing the breakout room or co-chairing, and you're still on my screen. You need to join, dear. Ruth, you need to go to room 10. So there's still at least 15 people that have not joined. So if you have not joined, I'm going to have to put you into a waiting room or remove you from the screen. So I'm giving you the last opportunity to join. If you have a problem, raise your hand or put your video on or speak so that we know you're still on screen and we will help you. Kalenga Noah, are you there? Manelo, Kutso Penwell, Erika Rabe, Rose, Agarura Marvin, Manjima George, Tumelo Mampone, Deandra, Lucia Majarito, Manelo, Biban Anthony, Krishna. Guys, you have to join the breakout rooms. There's a so Agarura Marvin, I see a request from you, but you've already been put into breakout room 6. You need to go back and rejoin, please. You don't have audio on your system, so I can't see you. I can't speak to you, and you probably can't hear us either. Dr. George, are you well?
I'm okay. I was responding to a question in group 9, then I was pushed out of that, so I'm trying to rejoin that.
Okay, Felix, please place Dr. George back in room 9.
Yeah, ma'am, it is done.
Okay. Colleagues and students, you need to click on join. When you are allocated, you have to accept. All right. Martina Rajan, Safalia, please click on accept or join breakout room. Rachel Wrinkle, Erika Rabe, Tumelo Mampone, Manjima George, Krishna, Rose, Wilson Abayo, Kalengo Noah, please click on join. Kutso, please click on join breakout room. Tech support, maybe you want to also pause the recording and pause the live streaming for now until we're back on screen. Colleagues that are still in the plenary room, please accept to go into a breakout room. There's 13 of you still that need to accept. Lucia, Biban, Manelo, Kutso, Kalengo, Krishna, Majima, Rose, Martina, Etujo, please click on your breakout room. Wilson needs to be put back into room 6, please. Tick. Wilson Abayo needs to go urgently into room 6. Okay, tech support, I'm going to go into each of the rooms now just to check that they've got a chair and a co-chair, all right? And I will be back. Felix, can you take over on this side and just check that everyone is allocated?
Yeah.
Okay. Felix, can I also ask if you can arrange for the question, the evaluation form to be placed onto the group chat and put it on repeatedly so that people can also complete that, all right? Okay, so Felix, I can see there's quite a few people still on the screen, and this generally happens
Yes, ma'am.
when people
It's
decide that,
basically it
yeah,
is 6 of us from our part, and rest hasn't joined any room.
yes, maybe they're not on the screen, maybe they left it running.
Yeah.
Kevin Chesters Douglas, Kevin Chesters, are you on screen? Do you want to just tell us if you've been allocated to a room? From Douglas Macmillan Hospice? You are muted, Kevin.
Apologies, I've just had to come out of the room and I just had to take a call. I'm kind of at work and I've tried to allocate some protected time, but something's just come up from one of my colleagues I've just got to deal with. So apologies, I'll be trying to rejoin the session.
All right.
as soon as
Maybe
you
if you're
can.
still busy, it's fine. Just
Yeah.
mute yourself, and then we will, when the plenary reopens in 25 minutes, you can join.
Smashing.
So you
Thank
can
you.
come
Sorry
back to
about
the
that. I had
plenary
joined the
with the
room, but
topic.
I've just had to like take something to work. So apologies. Okay.
Not
Very
a
interesting
problem.
so far, though. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay, so Kevin Chesters won't go into a room now. Lucia Margarito and Biban Anthony, are you on? Manelo and Kutso, Kalengo, Krishna Rose, Martina, you logged in 3 times with 3 devices, Martina Rajan. Shabna, do you want to just unmute or put your video on so we know you're still on screen? So we have some really, really interesting themes and really, really interesting, questions that would be done in the groups. So group 1 and group 6 are addressing what does an eco-social world look like? What should social work's role be in helping create it? In groups 2 and 7, it is how can recognition of culture and language in social work practice act to ensure that no one is left behind? How can we ensure social justice for all to ensure that no one is left behind? In groups 3 and 8, with whom do social workers co-build a new eco-social world? How should social workers go about co-building? In groups 4 and 9, what are the key challenges for social workers seeking to co-create an eco-social world? And how can they be overcome? And in groups 5 and 10, how can people work across borders to build a new eco-social world? What is social work's role in helping facilitate this? So these are really champion questions put together by Dr. Sen from Edinburgh University. We are in sessions at the moment, which is why you won't see many people on the screen right now. They will be back in 15 minutes and they will then give us their feedback. So in 15 minutes, Felix, we will have just check with everyone on our screen and on the WhatsApp if they are ready to come back. If they are not, we will give them 5 more minutes and then close the rooms thereafter. Will that be okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
All right. Nosipo Funeka, are you on? Nosipo?
Hi, I'm sorry, I just rejoined the session now. I had to teach a class, and I've just ended it now, so I'm not really sure what's being done in the breakout rooms.
Okay, Felix is going to allocate you to a breakout room now. Felix, can you please do that for Nosipo?
And she has joined.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Beverly? Okay, Beverly has no sound. Martina Rajan? Katleko? Rose? And Lucia? Okay, I'm going to broadcast a message to the breakout rooms that they have 15 minutes. And if they require more time, they just need to let us know, all right? Dr. George, are you well? You back on screen?
You asking me, Verosh?
Yes, yeah. Are you out of your room? You want to go back in or you?
Oh, no, I had to come out to do another urgent work. So I just,
Okay.
I was,
All
yeah. How
right.
is it?
Great, thanks. So no, you go ahead and complete what work you need, and then so you just join us again, but don't leave the session. So
No,
we'll
no,
be back in
I won't
30
leave.
minutes.
I won't leave the session. I'll just mute my camera and
Yes.
the microphone. Just something has come up. That's the joy of being a
Okay.
department head.
No problem. And thanks for the lovely presentation you did earlier.
Thank you. Thank
Awesome
you.
points. Okay, take
I will look at the MOU, whatever you sent to me, and then come back to you. It's catching up with my emails from last week.
I understand you've been traveling. Take care, George.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye. Malebo, Mokone, Poppy, are you all right? I see you on my screen. You haven't accepted a room, Poppy? Malebo, Dr. Mokone.
Yes. Very much. Thank you so much. I only received the link a few minutes ago because I have been trying and trying. Yes.
All right. Felix is going to allocate you to a room, but we've only got 15 minutes, so you'll at least be able to participate there. Thanks for joining in your retirement. Lovely to have you with us.
Always a social worker, so I can't miss what is happening in our world.
Okay. Thanks, Poppy. I understand.
Thank you.
Okay. So Dr. Makone is actually an ex-lecturer from the University of Limpopo in South Africa. Felix, if you can allocate her to a room.
Yeah, I have sent her the.
Okay, great. Poppy, you need to join.
She has joined in room 1.
Lovely. Okay. Etoju? So I've sent a message saying the rooms will join in 10 minutes, but if they need extra time, we will give them that. So actually in the next 15 minutes, I think,
I think
because
there is a typing mistake, ma'am. What you have sent.
Okay, do you want to correct that? What did I write?
Like the time you have given, like there is a mistake, I think.
Okay. So what we're saying to them is that it would join in 15?
No, you
It
can
would
say that 10
close?
minutes, but what you have typed is not 10, I think. It's 1110.
Thank you. Okay. Rooms will close in 10 minutes. But if you require okay, hopefully that is the correct time now. Colleagues, are you returning from the breakout rooms now? Corley, John, Idenes, Kumbi, are you guys back from the breakout? Room 1 is asked for extra time. So Felix, let's just hold on about closing.
Yeah, Varosh, the group 10 concluded and we were asked to rejoin the main group.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you.
We're just going to wait for the others. Thanks, John. I hope the discussions were fruitful.
Yeah, we had a great conversation, just a few tech problems where they couldn't share the presentation. So it took a little while to get over that hiccup, but I think we did very well.
Great, thanks, John.
So we have given some other 5 minutes, so they will be joining after 5 minutes. All the breakout rooms will end in 5 minutes, and they will be joining back.
Okay, thank you. So just to repeat what the questions are for the breakout rooms, and we've actually had quite lovely questions. Groups 1 and 6 spoke about what does an social world look like, and what should social workers' role be in helping create it. Group 2 and 7 spoke about how can recognition of culture and language in social work practice act to ensure that no one is left behind, and how can we ensure social justice for all to ensure that no one is left behind. Group 3 and 8, their questions were, with whom do social workers co-build a new social eco-world? And how should social workers go about co-building? Group 4 and 9, what are the key challenges for social workers seeking to creating an eco-social world, and how can they be overcome? And groups 5 and 10, how can people work across borders to build a new eco-social world? What is social work's role in helping facilitate this? And again, thank you to Dr. Robin Sim for these questions that we had. So in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'd be rejoining back in the plenary, and Lija Matthew will then chair the next session for 10 minutes. And thereafter, we would have the closing words from Dr. Rajiv from Rajagiri College. In the meantime, can I ask tech support to put the link for the evaluation, the Google link, onto the group for everyone, please? Rajesh, are you online?
He's sharing in one of the rooms, so once he
Okay.
comes, we'll be sharing it in the group in the chat box.
Do you have the link, Felix?
No, it's not with me. Once he comes back out of the breakout room, it will be shared in the chat box.
Okay, and just to remind everyone that they need to complete that link, and that is a Google form that will allow us to evaluate the session, but also to give you the opportunity of receiving a certificate of participation from us today.
Yes, sure, ma'am. And also, we want them to have the correct mail ID, because last time when they registered, they were given wrong mail IDs, and some messages were not delivered because of the mail ID was wrong.
You're right. So the mail address is very important. If it's Gmail, remember it's a .com at the end, because it's not something that we're going to pick up. It's an automated system. So, and no spaces in between the names and things. So just be careful about that. Thanks, Felix. We'll wait for it to be put up. Okay, I've just sent a notice around to say rooms will close in
So we have
5.
to give 5 more minutes because some of the rooms have already completed.
Okay, so 5 minutes then, Felix?
Yeah, maximum of 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, tech support, you can send a message to all that rooms will close in 60 seconds and you can close the rooms.
Once we close the room, they will get the notifications. So
Okay. Yes, you can. Tech, do you want to close the rooms?
yeah, we have already closed the rooms and
Perfect, thank you. Okay. So whilst we're waiting for others to come back from their rooms, does anyone want to share any of their experiences of the discussions? You're welcome to unmute. Stefan, I see you on screen. Do you want to share anything from your discussions? Suzanne from Makerere. Okay, Rajesh, if you could place the link for the certificates, please, or for the evaluation on the group.
Okay, ma'am. I will do it. I'll do it right now. I'll do it.
So everyone, please remember, there's going to be a link that will be shared, and you would have to complete that link in order to receive a certificate of participation for today's session. I'm just waiting for Leisha. Are you here, Leisha?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, Leisha, in 2 minutes you are on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Leisha.
Yes, ma'am. So welcome back all. Before going further, I apologize for the technical difficulties we had in between. Hope you all had great sessions, discussions, deliberations in the breakout room. Now it is time for giving feedback on the experiences in the breakout room. I invite all the co-chairs of the breakout rooms for the sharing. You have exactly 1 minute to speak and briefly share what you had discussed in the breakout rooms. Also, the co-chairs can type 2 key points from the discussion in the chat box. Also, you have the opportunity to send all the discussion points as email to the organizers. So let me first invite Ms. Ananya Ketil from Breakout Room 1 to discuss.
Hello, everybody. So we didn't have a lot of time to discuss, but we essentially played around with the question since this is a new topic, and this is just the whole point of this is to gather more perspectives together. So we spoke about the importance of recognizing, in fact, the interconnectedness and in recognizing the interconnectedness and the importance of it in a globalized world, and how the impact and influence of environment on social issues is something that makes up an eco-social world. And essentially, the way that we can go about as social workers or in the realm of social work in influencing this would be first by recognizing our role and the importance of our role in helping vulnerable people and how we celebrate relationships by building on their strengths or hope to build on their strengths. And with this level of this power and a recognition of our role is also something that can help influence and advocate for better policies and legislations that can include environmental and more environmentally sensitive ideas, and to incorporate that into our essential practice. And since we are advocates for the betterment of the society, apart from that, I think also a lot of focus on research and development, considering how this is a growing field and how environment is such an important factor in how it affects and impacts lives all over the world, especially those of the vulnerables, and how, like we were initially discussing in the meeting about putting lesser emphasis on, if not lesser, then at least matching the emphasis of economic growth with creating a corporate of social world, so we can sort of include environment sensitive ideas in dealing with social structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya. Next, I invite Ms. Nico Chauke to discuss on the points you had in breakout room number 2. Nico?
Hi, so it's Robin Sen from University of Edinburgh. So I'm going to do it on behalf of Group 2. Group 2 nominated me to do it. So I put some stuff in the chat. I'm going to be as brief as I can. So we had 2 questions. The first one was, how can recognition of culture and language in social work practice act to ensure that no one is left behind? And there was a good discussion about the importance of recognising culture and language, but also the predominance of English. And an important point made that this meant that a lot of concepts were formulated in English and need to explain those concepts in other languages, and sometimes the interpretation isn't possible. This brings focus onto the need to look at Indigenous knowledge and cultures and languages, and the way that we in the West and English-speaking people can learn through other cultures and languages. So last year's concept of Ubuntu, for example, and mutual connection is one example of this. It was emphasised that it's important to know about all cultures and for services to know about them, but a counterpoint was made that we can't know everything about every culture and language, so the importance of humility and respecting local knowledges when we go into working with people. The second question was a broader question about how we can ensure social justice for all so that no one is left behind. And the main discussion here was about the role of social workers in social work policy formation, and just an acknowledgement that governments don't tend to take on board what social workers, and indeed those that use social work services, what they think in terms of formulating policy. So there's a good initial discussion. So there's a good initial discussion around how social workers can start to act in ways that might get governments to think more genuinely about taking on board social work perspectives when they're formulating policy. But it was a good discussion, and I'm grateful to all the contributors.
Thank you, Robin sir. Next, I invite Ms. Chinasa Akiliu from Breakout Room number 3 to share their discussion points. Chinasa?
Hi, hi. Where one of our questions was whom do social workers co-build, and there were a lot of discussions, and people did raise lovely, good points. Some of them points were, we should work with everyone. Everyone should be on board, because social work do not exist on its own. We should be able to influence every aspect of everyone's lives, the children, service users, professionals, the environmentalists. We should be able to form partnership and connections. And then back to the, working with environmentalists, that if, we're not able to look after our environment as much, the bad weather obviously affects everyone, not just one person or not just one country. And then the second question was, how should we, go about this? And again, a lot of points were raised that we should create awareness. An example was given about when people use face masks and they dispose it, carelessly. Things like that can cause environmental, pollution. So therefore, we should educate everyone to be able to participate in decisions that affect not just them, but everyone. And we talked about leaders being able to lead people in a social justice way. And another way, it's about gathering research, doing research to gather evidence, which is what social workers try to do, evidence-based research, where, there's an evidence that are able to tell us, the things we're doing right and the things we're not doing right. And we talked about intersectionality, equal distribution of power, treating people with dignity and respect. And we concluded on mindfulness. We should be able to be mindful of how our behaviors affect people around us. Like we all know, 80% of our of our communication, it's all about body language. So we should be able to, be mindful of how we treat people, and we should try and bring everybody on board by respecting their, their differences and treat them with love and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinasa. So let me invite Dainia Speak from Breakout Room number 4 for sharing the discussion points. You have exactly 1 minute to share. Please speak.
Good afternoon, can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So with my group, we were discussing the key challenges for social workers seeking to creating an eco-social world. So the first point was that it would be a challenge for social workers to actually, to convince people to actually change their lifestyles, especially those people who don't have the privilege to change their lifestyles into a more eco-friendly, a social world. For instance, one of the participants in our group mentioned that there are some people around the world who actually use coal, to make energy and to make fire for cooking. So that coal pollutes the, the environment. However, that's all they have at that moment. So the solution was that maybe social workers could come up with policies that actually obligate the private sector that's actually making, a lot of money from damaging the environment. Just ask them to subsidize these kind of people so that they can also come on board or afford to come on board to live a more eco, to participate in the eco-social world. However, the participant also mentioned that it is not just a say and do, a say and do situation. We need to work together inclusively as social workers, social activists, to actually lobby for such policies, so that it should be the very same people that are, abusing the environment. They should also be the very same people that actually provide subsidies to those people who can actually not afford to, to come on board to live this to participate in this eco-social world. And then the other point was that the other challenge would be the age and generational differences. So, for example, in South Africa, there are still a lot of, indigenous people who make fire outside instead of using the electricity, which is part of their culture. So it is on us as social workers to actually, get a deeper understanding as to why they do that, and for us to actually also explain to them and inclusively, not just go to them and tell them you need to use stoves instead of making fire. We actually explain to them at their level of education, not at this current level of education. The other point was that, let's see. Oh, okay, yes, that were basically our points. So don't just tell people to do this as a social worker, but also, sit down and come up with solutions. It should be a give and take, a give and take relationship. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Speak. Next, I invite Ms. Diana Nakito from room number 5 to share the discussion points. Diana?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Diana Nakito from Makerere University. So this is group 5, and we focused on how can people work across borders to build a new eco-social world. Yeah, that's the question we focused on. And our points are, as I've put in the chat, hold on. Yes, as we've shared in the chat, for group 5, yes, how can we work across borders to build a new eco-social world? So first of all, we recognize that in the global south, we have few international relationships and limited connections. That even though these organizations, the UN, the United Nations, African Union, there's so many organizations working in our context. But then in the end, there are, for example, my friends from Johannesburg, I think even from Benin, they talked about it, even Uganda, there are problems of getting connected to certain organizations that are actually promoting the whole border relationships in the different countries. It's very hard to get connections in those, though one of our participants agreed that those relationships are there, but they are few. And then in the global south, we still face the issue of an inappropriate curriculum, where a few fields have been provided to the social workers in these developing countries. What happens is that most of these social workers, they can't exactly relate with the other people from other borders who have a more experienced and more vast curricula, who have more skills. They have more course units that help them to kind of build their profession. So here, most of them are just, they don't understand the profession. Most of them, the visibility is really low in our countries. Then, therefore, the need is for inclusivity, there is need to celebrate also the uniqueness of what goes on in the different countries here and there. What are the issues we need to voice out? The issues on suffering in our countries, the need of suffering, like the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, also what different groups face, like the violence against children and women. And also, yes, we really, really need to how are we going to, we left a question of how are we going to empower social workers and other individuals in our community to voice out their issues. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nakito. Next, I invite Mr. Wilson Abejo from room number 5 to share the discussion points. Mr. Abejo?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. This is Abajo Wilson from Makerere University, and we are in group 6 or room 6. And our question amongst our questions was, what does an eco-social world look like? And the main point here was that we should have a world, or an eco world is the one which caters for all the people to be free and happy and enjoy all the the rights they are having that are described in the International Charter. And then we were like, oh, we also had another point that says we should consider sustainable environment and consider the future generations. And then another question was that what should the social workers' role be in creating that eco world? And we said social workers can play. We know very many roles we can play. Then we said we can play a role of a teacher. Here you can educate the people in the societies you are in to make sure that they cater for each other, they preserve the environment, they use resources with great care, and know that there are others that are coming after them in the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abejo. Next, we have Ms. Laura Chand from room number 7 for sharing the discussion points. Laura?
Thank you. So group 7 was the second group to address questions on language, culture, and social justice. And we did talk a little bit about some of the things that group 2 discussed, but I think one of the key points was really recognizing the role that language and culture play in understanding what a person's going through, as it really does influence your ability or how you communicate different feelings or experiences. Particularly one example was talking about how different languages and cultures may talk about mental health differently. And so if you're not familiar in whatever the culture is, the person that you're working with, you might totally misunderstand what someone's trying to express to you. And so as a result, social workers really need to do their due diligence in trying to understand the cultural and linguistic backgrounds of the people with whom they work, but also acknowledging and having kind of cultural humility and knowing that they're not experts in these cultures just because they did a little bit of research and asked questions. We also said that social workers really need to allow others to express themselves in languages that they're comfortable in, because this is crucial for building trusting relationships and making people feel accepted for who they are. And just one last quick point is we did also touch on how art and music can be a tool for communication within and across cultures, and as art is sort of a type of universal language. And this also kind of applies to different cultural aspects such as traditions, food, and dance. We talked about a lot more, but I'll leave it at that for the purposes of time, and we can go to group 8.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we have Ms. Harshida Murarka from room number 8 for sharing the discussion points.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. We were also the second group that discussed 2 questions. The first one was, with whom do social workers co-build a new eco-social world? And a lot of the points that we discussed has been covered by the previous group. But one thing that was very prominent in the discussion was working with policymakers to ensure that we not only advocate the policies in place, but are also involved in the planning of those policies, since social workers are constantly interacting with the individuals, and we look at them as a whole and like a whole institute and not just separate parts of their functioning. And there were also points that were made about engaging with organizations that work for the welfare and benefit of the service users. The second part of the question was, how should social workers go about co-building? And one of the points that was raised spoke about the negative stereotypes that are associated with the job of social workers, and how community awareness should be taken into consideration to inform the people that we're working with about the work that we do and how we go about it. And this can be done in a multidisciplinary manner by interacting with other professionals and individuals, while also working on our own communication and other skills. So thank you.
Thank you, Harshita. Now moving on, we have Ms. Teresa Maria Jojo from room number 9 to share the discussion points. Teresa.
Hello everyone, greetings to all. I'm here to share with you about the main points that we discussed in the breakout room 9. And the 2 questions were, what are the key challenges for social workers seeking to create an eco-social world? And second question was, how can we overcome the same challenges? So the challenges we discussed here are seeking to create an eco-social world would be due to different aspects such as human geographical factors such as increase in political instability and increase in isolation, nationalism and increase in non-cooperativeness in international negotiations, and also wars and its aftermath. As we all know, currently there is war going in between Russia and Ukraine, and it has caused several damage to the environment as well as to the individual. And also previously we have seen wars in many countries like Yemen, Afghanistan, Japan, and all these countries had its own aftermath, and there is an imbalance of power in international disputes. Okay, and some other main challenges is and one of the main challenges is the lack of inclusiveness of people from belonging to different races or community or country, whatever the differences are. Then there is like another challenge is the huge gap between the rich and poor, the power and powerless, because the people who are richer, who have the power, does not know what are the basic needs or the resources what the poor need. So they are like more self-centered and narrow-minded. People tend to be narrow-minded and self-centered, and with this lead to the depletion of resources. And there is like for social worker student, for especially the social work students, there is lack of knowledge, theoretical knowledge or inclusiveness of the knowledge of eco-social world in their curriculum. And the next part of the session was solutions of this same. And we discussed about our social workers. First one was to create a collaborative programs in the local community so that the service users and service providers together create a collaborative program. And when we do collaborative program, the service users may feel that they're also part, or the owners are part of this program, and they would tend to be more participatory in all these programs. And then another solution is like to include the knowledge about or theoretical framework of eco-social world in the academic curriculum of social work students, so that they can work better in the community to promote eco-social world. And then next one was to create awareness, because people basically sometimes are not aware about their own rights. So we can move to the right-based approach and create more awareness that these are their rights and you have to utilize them. So there will be more equality and inclusiveness when the people know the rights. Okay, so these are the and all inclusiveness and equality should be there is the basic things we discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Lastly, we have Ms. Ruth Chuttu from Breakout Room number 10 to share the discussion points. Ruth?
Ruth has been having internet challenges. Perhaps someone else from group 10 can help her?
Yes.
Okay. Has she joined? Or I go ahead?
No, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Sabith Dickens from the Makerere University, Uganda. In our group session, we were able to discuss, our question was about how can people work across borders to build a new eco-social world, and what is the role of social workers to facilitate this, or in helping facilitate this. First of all, we were able to see what is an eco-social world. We saw that this one was like a branch of social work where we see the symbiotic relationship between the environment and a person in the society. Then we also try to look about the people who have always been left out, the categories of people that have been always left out. We saw the children, the women, the LGBT community. We saw the poor, where they are discriminated. We see racial discriminations, among others. And then we try to analyze what can be done so that people can be the role of social workers in the participation, so that they can help this one to be facilitated, and we have a new eco-social world. We saw that there should be advocacy for human and environmental rights. We also talked about mobilizing of resources, linking the clients to resources. We also talked about environmental education can be promoted so that there we can have each and every person be able to participate, and so that the environment can be kept and we promote sustainable development goals, so that the rates or the quest of our current generation in order to have a successful life should not stop the coming generation from also fulfilling their needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dickens, for the points. So we have come to the end of all the discussions, and we had questions, or we had discussions from what does an eco-social world look like, and to how or what the social workers has to do, or the role of social workers in facilitating that. Also, we discussed about the major challenges in creating a new eco-social world, how to overcome the challenges, and the importance of networking, the importance of inclusiveness, the importance of having research and development in making or in building eco-social world, also in using resources, indigenous resources, so that we can make or co-build a new eco-social world without leaving anyone behind. So thank you all the chairs, all the co-chairs, and all the participants for your phenomenal contribution in making this session more richer and informative. And let us all build together a new eco-social world without leaving anyone behind. So the feedback link is provided in the chat box, and please fill it with your correct email ID so that certificates are issued directly to that mail. So moving on, let me take this opportunity to invite Dr. Rajiv SP, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, for proposing the closing remarks. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Hope I am audible. In fact, it's my privilege to conclude this very big event of the day, or a very big session. So I won't take more than 2 minutes. That quite sure. Varoshi is looking at their clock watch. Say, I personally, the discussions, I was observing all the discussions, and I do have a lot of critical points or critical reflections about this. I have been, as you go on reading, you will also develop these type of critical thinking on this. But one speciality of this program was that we had very good examples. Like today, all your teachers were quiet. They were not speaking too much, but you were speaking. The students were taking a lead and speaking. And the opening welcome was in different languages, but we all understood the message. The message was very clear and loud. My appreciations for that. And when you talk about the co-building eco-social world, I have a couple of questions. One is, who will do that? And from all the discussions, what I understood is the environment which we talk about, or the ecology we talk about, is interdependent, or it is interconnected. And we exist because of that interconnectedness. And that is very well reflected. And when we bring that word socio, eco-socio, it becomes an ecology which is human-centric. Or we talk about a human-centric ecology where the human being take the responsibility of connecting all the organisms of the universe. And we are going to lead it. And now, when you talk about that, even if you look at the human beings, there must be, it's our responsibility to make sure that there is equality, and more than that, equity is served across the globe, around the globe, with all segments of people. And now the second question is, for whom we are talking about? And the answer is very simple. Since everybody takes the stake in building an eco-social world, this eco-social world is for everybody to coexist. I firmly stress upon that word, that is to coexist with the dignity. That's more important, with the dignity. And I doubt whether we can coin a term. I mean, there must be a term. I don't know. Maybe my lack of knowledge. Civilized deviance. Like one part of the globe, when they are starving, the other part of the world is dumping their entire things on the sea because their storage is out of potentials. It's out. It's all full. Can we call it a civilized deviance? And this is where we are actually talking about. And most importantly, why this platform, where the social workers platform and where we have different people from different part of the world addressing this platform is very important, because this is a global issue. We must start, and we must have ambassadors at the global level, because there is already a structure built in by capitalism, or whatever we call in economic term. There is already an established system in place. So we need social workers to be the ambassadors across the globe, and the global policies must be framed in accordance with the maintaining equity. And now, if you look at the global south and north, unfortunately, the global south always look at the global north, believing that that is right. I mean, I don't believe that there is any superior culture or any inferior culture, but it is human culture. So there must be some point where the global south also must be able to curtail the environment pollution, and there must be an equitable contribution from the global north to the global south to promote the environment protection and the related activities. So the spirituality behind it is being moderate. That is a very big policy that we may have to talk about. We don't take too much. We don't have to be greedy of things. We don't have to store for tomorrow. That is a mere desire that we are going to live for a long time, and we are not owners of this universe. So the spirituality is that we must be able to propagate that we need to live in moderation, whatever we need, take that, I mean, from this entire universe. So I believe this platform was entirely for that discussions, and my appreciation to entire team, especially Dr. Varosh, Dr. Robin, Dr. Tracy, Dr. Hadija. I mean, these people have, we had many meetings, a lot of planning went on, and the students were incorporated into the planning process, and they were talking about, Robin was meantime in strikes, and he came back. In between, he took time to meet us, and Varoshi was looking after all the programming. It is excellently coordinated. I believe that this is an example of co-building. That it's an example of co-building, especially in laying a platform for the academic world. And I'm very happy. And today, all the heads of the department from various universities, we had heads of the department from Makerere University, Edinburgh University, Rajagiri College, University of Johannesburg, and we had people from Association of Schools of Social Work in Africa. Then David Jones, very especially David Jones' words were very inspiring, and he was there throughout the program. Thank you very much to all of you and all the stars, the young students, social work students, because you are going to take this further. This message is going to be spread by you, and we are happy that you could do a very big event today, and you made it a very big day and it meaningful. I have my appreciation to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of today's session, and what an amazing event. Can I ask everyone to put your videos on and say goodbye to each other? Au revoir until we see each other again. Please keep in contact. There's the evaluation form on the chat. A huge thank you to you for participating, to every one of you. So put your videos on, put your sounds on, and say goodbye to each other.
Bye bye.
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 Bye everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye everyone.
Oh, yeah. Let it sink.
Bye everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye everyone.
Again. And again.
Bye everyone. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
A huge thanks to our tech support team. I think let's give them a round of applause as we say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Some of you don't want to leave the screen, so you can talk if you don't want to leave the session.
It has been wonderful.
It was wonderful. Thanks for arranging this, and
everything. Thanks to the technical team.
And thanks for inviting us
Mm,
also.
yes.
We're honored to be part of this.
So what we
Okay.
want is that, you know, you've now got your connections, use them. Your colleagues and your friends in other universities, use these relationships. That's what co-building is all about.
Yes.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Next time.
Okay. Happy Social Work Day. Bye.
Perhaps the lecturers want to remain behind if you're still here, and we could just talk afterwards.
I started master's degree when I was in my first internship.
Okay, bye everyone.
My internship, Zambia police station in Buren,
Tech support, can you close the session?
and arrest.
Tech support, can you close the session?
Yes, ma'am, we are working on it.